students, welcome to week 9. I hope everyone survived last week. There was a lot of things due last week. My phone thinks I'm talking to Siri right now. So anyways, I really hope that you got, so at this point, you should have a proposal turned in, so you should have a thesis, you should have a topic you're writing about, you should be on your way, right? Like you should have the foundation of a paper. A thesis is kind of your foundation. It is the road in which you will be traveling on for research. So if you have not turned that in for some reason, you only have 1 week, right? I'm only taking it up to a week late, so turn it in this week. Make sure you do that. That's a big part. So all of those pieces are part of the final genre analysis grade, which is 20% of your grade. If you are missing the proposal or the peer review, you are going to be missing a chunk of that grade, and it doesn't matter how great your final paper is, you still won't be able to score that high, and that's going to really affect your grade overall at the end. So please just be thinking about that. Don't miss those parts, right? Some of you, for your summaries, you had great writing at the end, but you were missing peer reviews, and that takes a lot of points out. Late work takes a lot of points out. So just be paying attention to that. It's also going to really help you if you just stay on track, because I have a very thought out system to where you're doing a little bit of work at a time and building on what you have. And if you are skipping parts, you're going to end up with a lot of work and a lot of confusion at the end of this. So just really try to stay on track here. Make sure you get everything in. So this week is really geared at sources and feedback. So you should be in the part of your paper right now where you are researching and you are giving feedback to each other and you are writing some. You're drafting, you're taking notes on your sources and that sort of thing. So this is going to really help with that. You have a reading, you have a PowerPoint, and you have a video. This is going to be about like what you're looking for with your sources, how to use them in your paper. It's also a little bit funny. This is just going to give you some examples, so pay attention on how to use citations in your paper. And this is going to talk about how to give feedback. After you do this, you're going to take a quiz. This is due by Thursday night. This is going to be directly out of these 3 things. So just pay attention, read that, and it's going to all be word for word out of there. Then you're going to move into this forum post, which is going to be a combination of drafting and practicing how you learn to give feedback in this. So for that, you are going to be putting your introduction paragraph into the peer review forum, into the forum that says describe, evaluate, suggest. To respond to your peers, you're going to practice giving feedback the way that the video asks you to. So you're going to describe what they're doing. You're going to evaluate how you're taking it. So, evaluate what you see, how you see it working, and then you're going to give them a suggestion. So you'll make so you're describing, I see you're writing about blah, 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 blah. It looks like maybe you don't have a thesis at this point, or it looks like your thesis is a little bit too broad. I suggest you focus on the first part of what you said, blah, blah, whatever that is. So this is your introduction paragraph. Your introduction paragraph is very much not the proposal paragraph, right? These are 2 very different genres of writing. A proposal is something that you write to me to tell me what you're going to write about and to clarify a topic, to kind of get permission. Proposals are something you'll write more as you're writing bigger papers or doing big projects. You propose your topic and how you're going to go about it. Your introduction paragraph is doing something different. So you might still have the same thesis that you mentioned, and you might repeat that, but it has different information. It has more background. At this point, you should have a path of paper. You should kind of know the direction and organization of your paper, and you can change it as you go, but it should be different than your proposal. Okay, so just be thinking about that. Make sure it's an introduction paragraph that sets you up for a paper in a way that sets you up to continue writing. So also with that, I want to kind of show you guys just like how to research. So we'll look here. So if you just go to ISU, right? And then I just usually come here and then I go to the library. And we don't want that. So let's say we want to search, can do something like this, and you should be able to find some articles about this. You should find, so here's a theoretical interpretation. When you think about your sources, think about, you don't need to find someone who's writing exactly what you're saying. That's not exactly what we're looking for, but it needs to be about, it needs to just serve your topic. So like this is interesting. Now is a great time to start requesting things. If they look interesting, go ahead and start requesting them through Interlibrary Loan because it can take a few days. And you are going to want to have some ideas of sources. So this is like survival and transcendence. So maybe you're going to talk about the rhetoric of survival or motivation. I think people maybe, I don't know, something like that, right? So you can just do you can just find things. Figurative language, that's very rhetorically focused. And some of these are comparing, but that's fine. If you see something you're like, well, I have no idea what that is, that's okay. You can skim and get to this part and you still might find something really useful for your paper. So I just want to make sure you guys kind of know how to research and find that. You do need at least 2 additional sources plus the poem or the story that you're writing on. So make sure you're going to go ahead and start looking for those. This is a great way to find peer-reviewed sources that will work rather than trying to find sources that just by searching on Google. So hopefully that is helpful, guys. If you have questions about finding sources or if you want to know if I like approve of a source or anything, if you find something on the library, like it should be fine. Just be thinking about what your thesis is, what you're trying to claim, and then be thinking about kind of the points that you're going to need. So this is kind of how I figure out what sources I need. Think about, okay, I'm going to say this about the thing I'm researching. I'm going to try to explain how it is doing these things. I'm going to show how it is talking about the healing of trauma. And so to move from there, you want to be thinking, okay, in order to prove that, what are my readers going to ask? They're going to want to ask me to define trauma, if that's part of my thesis. So maybe I'm just going to find a source that gives a really good definition and a good foundation about what trauma is. Or say I want to use something about trauma narrative. Maybe I find something that kind of describes that for my readers. And then maybe my readers, they're going to want to have examples of how that's working in the poem. And so maybe you find people who are also talking about that, who are explaining that at work in the poem. My readers might want to know how this is about collective trauma or something like that, So just think about the points. So you'll probably have about 3 main points for about this size paper, at least 3, that are pushing that thesis forward, and those should each have evidence. So you just want to be thinking about what evidence you're going to need for that. If that is confusing, if you have a thesis and you don't know where to go from there, like if you have a thesis and you're like, okay, I have this, right? Like I have this idea in this topic, but I don't know what my readers need to know for it. I don't know what I need to research. I don't know what my main points should be. I don't know what kind of evidence I need. Then you should reach out to me right away at that point so that I can look at your thesis and I can say, okay, I think that this is kind of the direction you're trying to move in, and this is probably the evidence you're going to be looking for. Do that now. Do that this week rather than waiting so that we can have sources and have something to be working with so that you're not falling behind. Otherwise, good luck. This should be a good week. There should be a lot of interesting, concrete things that will help you with writing your paper in the reading assignments for this week. So Please reach out to me and talk to me if you have questions or thoughts about your paper or the readings.